and welcome. Today I want to talk to you about including women who have SI pain or SPD pain or any sort of pelvic instability in your either regular yoga classes or in your pregnancy-specific yoga classes. So this is a really common condition that women suffer during pregnancy, and I think if you're going to be teaching women in this area, it's something you need to be really aware of, how to accommodate for, what to look out for, and you need to know what poses that you can safely put them in so that you're not causing any further injury to their bodies. So before we get into it, I do want to let you know I have created a free little download for you. So it's just an introduction into the basics of teaching pregnancy yoga. So that's really helpful to get you started and give you the basic understandings of what you need to know before we go any further. So what causes pelvic instability during pregnancy? It's the hormone relaxin that the body produces at this time to allow the pelvis to open, which obviously it needs to do to allow the baby to grow and also to pass through during birth. However, the body sometimes opens a little bit too much. So depending on a number of factors, like what sort of movement the woman is doing during pregnancy, her fitness levels, whether she's had previous pregnancies, those sorts of things. Often it's caused by an imbalance in the muscles that support the pelvis. So as those ligaments loosen up, if you have tight glutes or underworking glutes or tight hips, maybe even a weak core or a weak pelvic floor, it creates a bit of an instability as the pelvis opens. And this can cause pain. It can present in a number of different ways. So it could just be soreness in the hips. Some women feel more pain in the front, more in like the pubic bone region, others in the SI joint at the back. Some people feel it in the buttocks, others generally just in the low back. So it will present in different ways, which is why as yoga teachers, you do need to refer on when it's out of your area of expertise. So if you don't have this knowledge to really specifically diagnose where it is, at this stage, if a woman was in your class describing this sort of pain, I would maybe suggest to her it could be this, but perhaps go and see this physio, or go and see this osteo and get that diagnosis and get some specific activities for her so that she can really look after her body, because it can present in different ways, and what will help one woman may actually make it worse for another. So it's really important to start there with a referral if you don't have the knowledge at this point to diagnose. So what then do you need to know to safely include a woman who's experiencing this sort of pain within your yoga class? Firstly, I think it's important to recognize at this point that for some women, yoga during pregnancy isn't a great thing. So I know for me as a flexible yogi and someone who was doing a lot of yoga throughout my second pregnancy, SI pain was a big thing for me. It was almost like my body was too open already, and therefore it created this instability in my pelvis. So I actually needed to do a lot of work building strength, especially around my hips and in my glutes, to kind of pull it all back together. And once I did that and really was careful with not opening too much, that SI pain really calmed down. So you need to be mindful if you have a woman in your class who is experiencing SI or SPD or pelvic instability, she really doesn't need any more opening of those hips or pelvis at all. You want to bring everything back in line. You want to keep everything hip width distance and no wider, because any wider is going to create opening, which admittedly can be really hard, because in a prenatal class, we often are focusing on that opening, because for a lot of women who sit all day and don't do a lot of this opening, they need that opening. But for people like gymnasts and yogis and other women who already have quite open hips, any further opening is going to make that worse. So if this woman does still want to come to your class, you would just bring every pose back in and not do anything that takes those legs outside the midline of the body. Yes, this may mean at times she has to skip a substantial chunk of your class and do something like a gentle meditation or breathwork practice, because you will still need to do some opening with those other students who need it. It's great to go into all classes having that kind of bank of knowledge of things that are safe to do with someone who has any of this pelvic instability, so you can give them options throughout the class and you're not just saying to them all the time, you just wait in that pose and we'll meet you soon, and then kind of forget to come back to them and give them those options, because they will obviously start to feel bored in the class and not want to come back if that is the case. So if you would like more information on me going through what sort of poses are safe to do with pelvic instability, let me know in the comments and I'll create another video for you going through my tips and tricks and how to structure your class so that you can cater for both groups of women in pregnancy classes, those who need the hip opening and those perhaps who need a little bit more strengthening to counterbalance that opening that's already happening in their bodies. One prop that I really recommend you using when you have women in your class with SI pain is the block, specifically so that you can put it between the knees and have them squeeze their knees in onto the block. So this one can be great if you come up against the wall and you get them to do a squat against the wall, and then they can bring their knees in on it and really squeeze in. So this will help to strengthen those muscles supporting the hips and help to support that pelvis where it's a little bit weak at the moment. Another one of the poses that felt really good for me when I was experiencing SI was anything that opened up the psoas. So if they're early days pregnant, they might still be able to lie on their back. You could put a block underneath the hips and just take one leg out long to start stretching gently into that psoas. If they're later stages pregnant, lying on the back will no longer feel comfortable. They'll feel like they're choking from the weight of the belly. So in that case, even just a simple kneeling lunge, maybe using some props like a bolster or something like that to just bring the floor a little closer so their hands don't have to reach all the way down, can also be a great one just to stretch gently into that psoas muscle. They're just a few tips for how you can manage women who are experiencing SI pain and what to do with them in your pregnancy yoga classes or even your general yoga classes. If you would like me to go through some alternatives to those really common pregnancy yoga poses that we do in our prenatal classes, let me know in the comments. I'll create another video that shows you how you can give alternatives to women experiencing pelvic instability while you keep the rest of your class running. And if you would like more information on teaching pregnancy and postpartum yoga, I'll leave a link below to my online course. So this course will give you everything you need to know to safely teach pregnancy and postpartum classes, how to develop your own style and structure your classes, and how to get your business up and running. Make sure that you subscribe so you can catch the next video. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Namaste.